If you're an Airbnb host, you need to hear this. Airbnb just rolled out new cancellation policies and terms of service. And if you're not up to speed, it could cost you. Literally. In this training, I'm walking you through exactly what's changing, what it means for your business, and the smart steps you can take to stay protected and profitable. If you're serious about growing your short-term rental business, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an update like this. Now let's get to it. My goal is to be talking about things, helping you stay informed so we can stay 2 steps ahead and not in this reactive panic mode that I'm seeing quite candidly all over the internet these days. And so my goal is to kind of share with you the updates and what hosts are doing, and help you think about this strategically so you can operate your business in the most effective and efficient way possible for you. Okay. And what's right for you may be different than what's right for someone else. And that is totally fine. That's totally fine. So let's dive into it, and I will stop after we're done and I'll answer questions. But essentially, Airbnb is now favoring hosts that offer more flexibility in their cancellation policies. And I think that this is a really interesting stat. According to Airbnb, they're saying that hosts who switched from the strict to the firm cancellation policy earned 10% more. Where I feel like I am a little challenged with this approach is Airbnb is telling us that we have to earn 10% more, because in a nutshell, for new listings, which we're going to dive into some greater detail in just a moment, but we're not able to have the option to even have strict. And so that is one of the things that's changing. So they are rewarding more flexibility and cancellation, and they're really forcing us as hosts to take part in providing more flexibility. As you and I know, though, earnings are only part of the equation when it comes to our investment properties and the properties that we're hosting. I think it's really important to protect our margins and protect our sanity too. That's important. So again, this is kind of the lay of the land as to the whole impetus for some of these changes. As Airbnb is really trying to offer more flexibility in cancellation policies. I believe that they are doing this in an attempt to compete with hotels. I think perhaps Airbnb is running up into situations where they are potentially losing market share to some of the big hotel brands. They're running up into regulation challenges all over the country. And so they are continuing to find ways to appear more favorable to guests. The challenge is oftentimes that hosts were the ones at risk, right? And so we're going to talk about some of that, okay? So let's talk about what is actually shifting in their new cancellation policies. First things first, the strict policy is retiring for stays that are less than 28 days. So with new listings, you can no longer select the strict policy. Okay. If you have existing listings where you have that strict policy in place, you're able to keep it for now. Starting in October, Airbnb will be switching folks from strict over to firm. Okay. And so again, we'll talk about what you can do with that in just a couple of minutes. The other thing, again, is that Airbnb has been more transparent, shall we say, in what they're going to favor in the algorithm. And so again, according to them, 44% of guests say that free cancellation is a top need when booking. And so listings with free cancellation beyond 48 hours will now stand out more in search. Like, they're literally telling us they're going to favor that in the algorithm. Now, I will tell you, for years, my market manager has been trying to get me to be more flexible in my cancellation policies. And I will say that I have not leaned into that. I'm, going to stand with what my cancellation policies are, and I'll walk you through that in just a few minutes. But it has been on my radar for a while now that Airbnb will absolutely favor you in the algorithm if you play to what they're looking for, right? And so they're looking for more flexible cancellation. So the more flexible your cancellation policy is, the more they're going to favor you in their search results. Okay, they've also standardized a 24-hour grace period. So essentially a guest can cancel with a full refund within 24 hours for any stay that is less than 28 nights and more than 7 days away. Now, a lot of hosts may be up in arms about that, but actually that's the only change that favors you, because it used to be 48 hours. Okay, so they've reduced that from 48 hours to 24 hours. So that standardized grace period actually favors you with that change. Okay, and then they are also rolling out a new cancellation policy called limited. Now, this is intended to help hosts feel like they're getting more flexibility. Whether we really are is, I guess, a matter of opinion. But so with the new limited cancellation policy, guests get a full refund if they cancel at least 14 days prior to the date of check-in, which gives us as hosts more rebooking runway than a 7-day cancellation, shall we say. So again, this is something that you could absolutely consider putting in place and testing. Just a couple of recaps of what this looks like from each different type of cancellation policy. So the most flexible, where you're going to get the most reward in algorithm, is having a flexible cancellation policy. Again, it gives guests free reign to cancel up to 24 hours before check-in. Okay. Beyond that, if they don't cancel up to 24 hours before check-in, you are paid for any nights stayed and one additional night from Airbnb. Now, with a moderate cancellation policy, a guest can cancel and get 100% of their money back 5 days before check-in. And if they cancel outside of that, meaning within 5 days, you're paid for each night they stay plus one additional night, plus 50% for all unspent nights. Okay, so you recoup a little bit of money there. With that new cancellation policy that we just talked about, again, a guest can get a full refund if they cancel outside of 14 days. So if they're 3 weeks away or 2.5 weeks away, they can cancel and get all of their money back. Now, if they cancel within that 14-day period, you are not necessarily paid for all of your payout. So within 7 to 14 days, you're paid for 50% of all nights in the reservation. And then less than 7 days, you are paid 100% for all nights within the reservation. With the firm policy, again, the strict is no longer available. With the firm policy, a guest can cancel up to 30 days and still get their money back. So if they're at 31 days or 32 days or 60 days, they can still cancel and get 100% of their money back. Again, the way that this works, if a guest cancels in less than 30 days, you're paid for 50% of the nights if it's 7 to 30 days out. And if it's less than a week away, then you're paid for 100% of all nights. So again, it's really important to know that just because a guest hasn't canceled within the time frame for them to get all of their money back, you may not get all of your payout. Okay, and it's really important to know that. All right. Now, long-term bookings or bookings of 28 days or more have two different options. So there's a firm option there, and that is, again, at that 30-day mark. Anything within 30 days, you are paid 100% for all nights spent, as well as 30 additional nights. Okay, so if a guest cancels and it's 2 weeks away, they're going to pay you for 30 additional nights. If they check in and they only stay for 2 days, they're going to pay you for 2 days plus 30 additional nights. Okay. If they check in and it is 2 days away, you're going to get paid 100% of the remaining nights of the reservation. Okay. All right, with strict, there is still a strict policy in place for the monthly bookings or for the long-term bookings. Now, with a strict policy in that scenario, it is a guest can get a full refund within 48 hours after booking, and it has to be within 28 days before check-in or outside of 28 days. So it's very, very similar to what your payouts are going to be. You're going to be paid 100% if they book, or I'm sorry, if they cancel within, if they're going to check in within 5 days or something like that. Less than 30 nights, you're going to be paid for the remaining nights of the reservation. And if they've checked in and they've decided to leave early, you will be paid for 100% of the nights spent plus the next 30 nights. Okay. It's a little bit of mumbo jumbo. Like when you look at these options, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much to think about, right? And so hopefully this grid gives you some easy way to look at what this really means for the guest and what this really means for you. Now, the other thing that is being recommended right now by Airbnb is this new non-refundable option. So the way that that works is you would set your own discount, and they're recommending typically to utilize a 10% discount. I believe in China, it can't be 10%. I don't know if there's anybody here from China, but your discount scenarios are different there. But you'd set your discount. And the way that this works is that discounted rate will be shown in search results. All right. So that lower amount is going to be shown in search results. When a guest or a potential guest clicks into your listing to actually book your property, they're going to be shown two different rate options. They're going to be shown your regular rate as well as your non-refundable rate. Now, this is very similar to the way that the hotels do it. If you go to Hilton.com and let's say you're looking for a king size room, oftentimes you'll see, king size room, refundable up until 24 hours or non-refundable, right? And typically you're getting a discount as a guest for purchasing that non-refundable option. There's more risk there, obviously, as a guest, but certainly something that I love as a host, right? The ability to recoup my money. So again, the way that this works is that discounted rate is going to appear in the search results. When a potential guest clicks into your listing, they're going to be shown two different rates and they can decide which option they want to go with. If they end up taking that non-refundable option and they end up canceling, you're going to keep the payout. You won't get the cleaning fees, but you will keep the payout for the reservation. In order to be eligible for this, the checkout has to be within 60 days, okay? And this is not able to be processed. The non-refundable option is not able to be processed on anything that's been pre-approved or on any special offers, okay? So that's the way that the non-refundable option works. All right, so what I'm doing in my business, and hopefully this is helpful in some way, shape, or form. I have been at the firm cancellation policy for quite some time. I am keeping that intact. So I actually have not been on the strict policy. I've been on firm. I do know that some of my accelerator members are planning to test that limited option, and they're going to be sharing their findings right with our accelerator family. And so it's important for you to, number one, know what your cancellation policy is, but think about if you want to potentially take advantage of that limited offering, or perhaps move to firm, or maybe you want to move to something more flexible. I don't know. I'm also testing that non-refundable option on select listings. I have not made that change across the board. I am testing that on some high performing listings to see how that impacts me in a positive or negative way. And so we've just turned that on 2 weeks ago. Okay. I will tell you, I'm continuously sharing feedback with Airbnb. I have the pleasure of meeting with my Airbnb market manager each and every month. Poor thing, sometimes he gets quite an earful from me. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's really, really important when Airbnb makes changes, they need to understand how they're impacting their hosting community. And so I think that feedback, when delivered in a professional manner, is very, very important to be able to share. I will say I'm also taking updates in stride. One of the things, again, that I am seeing, which concerns me so much, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have this time together today just to review this, is I'm seeing a lot of folks online, I guess, using the Airbnb changes to scare people. And I don't want to scare you. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to review, you know, again, what's being updated and what I'm doing, and provide recommendations on what you should do. But at the end of the day, it's really important that we understand that these changes are things that may not be able to be reversed. And so we have to take them in stride and, again, strategically make pivots in our business to navigate around some of these bumps in the road. And so if you see online gurus or hear online gurus, you know, positioning this as the sky is falling in and it's doom and gloom, and, you know, I will tell you, you are welcome to have your own opinion, but I am here to share with you that I'm here to provide support, and I'm not here to get you in a panic. Okay. I will also say that I am focusing more than ever now on driving direct bookings. Now, driving direct bookings in my business has always been important, and I will say it's even more important to me now. So I've actually put a digital marketer on retainer. This is the most money I have ever spent in marketing for my short-term rental business. And if I didn't believe it was important, I wouldn't do it. And so I have someone on retainer who is tackling social media, email marketing, blog content. He is actually spearheading the upgrade of my direct booking website, and I am spending a sizable amount of money to upgrade my direct booking website. Now, what's really interesting, I had an analysis done of my direct booking website, and I shared this with our accelerator family several months ago, that there were some very surprising things in that analysis that I would have never even dreamed would be on my radar or should be on my radar from a perspective of what may be a potential red flag for a new guest hitting my website for the first time. So hence I'm redoing and upgrading my direct booking website. That digital marketer that I have on retainer has also updated my branding guidelines so that whether a guest or a potential guest sees me on Instagram or Facebook or in email, or they show up to a property and they see the in-unit branding, regardless, they're going to experience a consistent brand across the board. And that wasn't always the case. Okay. So certainly very, very helpful to have those really, really dialed in branding guidelines. I mentioned in-unit branding a few minutes ago. We have added things to what is being shown inside of our properties. So we have had simple business cards printed. Actually, business cards are sitting in our units that encourage people to come back and book direct. And you might go, well, gosh, why'd you do a business card? It actually came to me by a recommendation of one of my owners that I support. And I thought it was such a simple and brilliant idea that, you know, I've got all of this merch, if you will, in the unit where people can scan a QR code and go to our direct booking site. But if they want to put a card in their purse and give it to a friend, or take it back to a fellow family member and go, we should totally stay with these people next year when we go down to the beach. Or go up to Hocking Hills, whatever the case might be, you know, I wanted to provide something that would easily be carried in someone's handbag. Okay. We're doing additional refrigerator magnets. We already had one set of refrigerator magnets. We're doing a second set of refrigerator magnets that enhance the guest experience, but also have a QR code right to our direct booking site. And we're also doing more branded gifts for our guests. And that's a really, really fun thing to be rolling out. I'm also instituting new online tools to really, really focus on driving growth in my email database. So, you know, your email database is one of the greatest assets you have in your business. And the tools that I'm implementing are not just the tools like Stacey, where we're capturing the email addresses of guests. We're actually, with our new website, going to be capturing the email addresses of potential guests, as well as their family members. So it's certainly a way that we can be very, very strategic in rapidly growing our email database. So with that, you know, again, I'm really, really focused not only for the back half of this year, but in 2026 on driving as many direct bookings as possible. I will tell you, alongside that, though, I'm still remaining in a positive relationship with Airbnb. I think it's really important to note that Airbnb is a tool for us in our businesses. If we are 100% reliant on Airbnb, it is no longer a tool, it is a crutch. Okay. And so I think it's really, really important that you do what's right for your business, but don't shoot yourself in the foot. I think a lot of people, again, I'm seeing going on and saying horrible things about Airbnb, and I would encourage you to be strategic in the way that you're navigating these hurdles, shall we say, or pivoting and maybe focusing more on direct bookings, but don't bite the hand that feeds you, right? Because chances are you're still getting revenue from bookings from Airbnb. All right. So here's some recommendations for what you should do. First and foremost, I think it's really important that you review your current cancellation policy. I would venture to say there might be some folks on here that don't even know what they've put down as their cancellation policy. So review your current cancellation policy, see what makes the best sense for you. If you want to stay on that strict cancellation policy, you need to contact Airbnb and opt out by October the 1st. So you still have some time. This is not a decision that you need to make overnight, but if you're not going to make this decision right away, I would highly encourage you to put a reminder and an event in your calendar so that you meet that deadline. Okay. I don't know about you, but so often, you know, in the past, I've thought, oh, I'll do that by that date. And if it's not in my calendar, that date flies by. And 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to do that. So be sure to put an event or a reminder in your calendar. The other thing that I think is really important is that you share your feedback with Airbnb. If you're finding some of their new policies to be challenging for you, or if you feel like perhaps, they're putting the guests at the advantage over the host, I think it's important that Airbnb knows that from their hosting community. And I have talked with my market manager about this as well. And, they are encouraging hosts to share their feedback. If hosts don't share their feedback, they don't know it's a problem for us. Okay, because they are a large corporation and they are looking at, what stockholders want to do and what someone in corporate says that they should do. Not all of those people are hosts. In fact, many of them aren't. And so it's really, really important that Airbnb understands how these updates impact us as hosts. So I'm going to encourage you. Here's the link. I'll drop the link in the chat too when I get back over. I would encourage you to share your feedback in a professional way with Airbnb. Don't be afraid to share the impact or the burden or the challenges that you're having and be very specific about those challenges. But what I don't encourage you to do is to shoot yourself in the foot and cuss them out or, not act in a professional way. Okay. I put this in here because I think this is so important. Resist the panic mode. Okay. I will tell you inside the accelerator program, we talk about this stuff all the time. And when the last round of changes came out, we were talking about the fact that so many folks showed up to our Monday night meeting, like literally in a tizzy because they'd been watching all the gurus online telling them, again, the sky is falling. Some of these policy changes are not favorable to us as hosts, right? But worry and panic and fear do nothing to serve our businesses. Nothing. Okay, so it's important that we develop strategies so that we're not as reliant on Airbnb. I want you to meet your business goals. I want you to meet your financial goals. And yes, you can do that without having, 80, 90, 95% of your bookings coming from one platform. So again, take it in stride, resist the panic mode, check things out for yourself. Again, there's a lot of information flying around the internet that is questionable as to whether or not it's true. So again, here's a link to Airbnb's help article about the cancellation policy updates or the new terms of service. And so check it out for yourself, read it over, and share feedback with Airbnb. Okay. Other changes that are coming down this summer, I know you are very familiar with this as well. Airbnb has introduced services and experiences, and this has been problematic for so many hosts. I actually did an interview last week with the Wall Street Journal about this very topic. This is something that a lot of people are taking notice of, not just Airbnb hosts. Clearly, the Wall Street Journal is taking note of it. And so stay in touch with how this landscape changes. If it changes, it may not change. But I would encourage you, again, to share feedback with Airbnb about what you would like to see with services and experiences. And you can use that exact same link to the feedback form to share your feedback with them there. But this is certainly something that's rolling out, and again, not very favorable to hosts, in my opinion. So I also just want to close and share with you that if you are thinking, oh my gosh, this feels like a lot to navigate by myself, it is. It absolutely is. I just want to invite you. You don't have to navigate it alone. We have a powerhouse tribe of women who are navigating these choppy waters together. And we share weekly what is working in our businesses. We troubleshoot what's not working in our businesses. We talk about these changes and adapt together and provide resources that we develop together to be able to share our voices in a professional manner with Airbnb. But at the end of the day, we are growing businesses that thrive regardless of what Airbnb throws at us. And I will guarantee you, these are not going to be the last round of changes that Airbnb shells out. And they're certainly not going to be the last round of changes that are not favorable to hosts, right? And so I think it's really, really important that we develop businesses that are strategic, that we develop businesses that meet our personal and financial goals, regardless of what one OTA or one platform dishes out, shall we say. So here is a QR code. You are more than welcome to scan and check out the accelerator